Hey guys, this is my 2006 Wr250f. I'm going to be taking it to get my tax or pay tax and get a license plate for my new truck that is sitting out back that I picked up yesterday. I'm going to be riding this. I'll shoot a short little video of riding this down the road, but I'm also going to be stopping here in a little bit and riding off-road with some dual sport friends of mine, so I'll shoot a couple different videos. Come along for the ride. Now, is that in there? Now the thing is, I don't have an external mic, so when I go fast you can't hear me at all. But and this bike is significantly louder than my Wr250L, so hopefully you can hear me at all. This was not a street legal bike. It comes from the factory as a dirt bike, but I made it street legal and put some aftermarket goodies on it to make it a little better of a dual sport. I'm in the process of changing the sprockets even more. Right now I've only changed the rear sprocket by 2 teeth, and on the rear I got a 50/50 tire so I don't completely wear it out riding on the road. Up front it's almost like a motocross tire. So I got 2 different rims for this, for the rear. It's a good running bike. I'm happy with it. Got a nice aftermarket tank, you know, still carbureted, and I have an FMF titanium blue anodized pipe, full pipe. It's still geared too low for I'm running sprockets 1350 right now. It was 1352, which is strictly for the woods, and that's what this bike was made for. But now I have high beam, low beam, blinkers, everything to make it street legal at least, and just to get me to the off-road riding spots legally. Alright, well, I'm gonna start her up. My battery's probably dead. I bought a new battery for it, but I haven't thrown it in yet, just because I can kick it to start it, and then once it runs for a while the battery charges enough to ride. Yep, dead. I'll put the choke on. Should start right up. It's warm out. Kind of why I didn't worry about throwing a battery in before I went on this ride. There's aftermarket seat, concept seat, a rear rack I threw on it, and this bag. Foot pegs, wide foot pegs, anodized, levers, bark busters, high beam, low beam, better bulb, way brighter bulb. I have a 14 tooth front sprocket sitting in my garage that I'm going to throw on it. I meant to do it last night, I just didn't get the time. I was too tired after going to buy this new truck out in Ohio. It's a nice lifted 37 inch tire, 9 inch lift kit truck. It's a GMC in 1996. But, well, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, my name is Ian, and I have a Harley, but I mainly ride dual sports, and I'm into firearms, and come along for the ride. I know I enjoy watching YouTube videos, and I figured I'd make these videos even for myself. For come winter, I can reminisce on some of the memories of the riding season. Here in Pennsylvania, it gets rough to ride all winter, I can tell you that. I also own a Wr250L, and yesterday when I strapped it down in the back of that truck that I bought out in Ohio, my fork seal started leaking. There must have been dirt up in there, and I pushed it up into the fork seal and it started leaking. So when I get home later, I'm going to have to fix that. But I wasn't planning on riding that today anyway. That's my commuting bike. I ride it off the road as well, but I got to turn the choke off. Oh man, the battery didn't charge enough. Not yet anyway. skill, because when they start to come down, you can always bring them back up. Unlike the CRF, you have to keep it up near balance point, or if it's not and it starts to come down, it don't have enough mass to get itself back up. This bike actually does. I imagine it's pushing between 10 to 12 more horsepower than my CRF is at the L. Although that dog ran out after me. The throttle is responsive. You can tell the difference on a carbureted model and fuel injected. Man, fuel injected is superior for performance. Even though this bike's a lot more powerful, that CRF doesn't feel that much worse. This feels a lot more relaxed and laid back. But when you get on the throttle on that bike, it'll go. Even though it's only pushing around 26 horsepower, so this is around 36 horsepower. Should be anyway. I gotta turn my street legal kit on, make sure my lights are working. Should be. Blinkers, yep, working. Okay. Like I said, like switching it, I'm not used to it. Not used to it at all. I gotta get used to this bike. It just feels so twitchy because it has so much better low end power. Yesterday, this is where I almost lost my GPS when I was going to pick up that truck. I rode a wheelie at up to 60 mile an hour. When I came down, my GPS flew off and was hanging by the power cord. As you can hear right now, 50 mile an hour, about where it likes to stay. I don't like to go much faster than that way it's here. Even though it'll do it. But I don't like to do it sustained. I like this bike, but it's an off-road bike for sure. My CRF 250L is way more comfortable on the road. Made for it. Heavier. Different suspension, but I figured I'd introduce you to my second Bill Sport bike if you've already saw my first one. I live here in Elwood City, Pennsylvania. It's an okay place, I guess, but I've been through hell in this town, so literal hell for 6 years of my life. They stole my life from me, so I'm not a big fan of this town. Tax and title place is open so I can get my pink slip and get this truck inspected, although it does need 2 new tires and they're extremely expensive. manner. I can feel that front knobby, man. Ooh. On my Wr250L, I usually run a 60/40 tire on it, just because I ride over an hour to work on the interstate. I got a set of 50/50 tires. That's actually the same tire I'm running on the rear of this bike right now, and it does excellent even in the mud off-road. I just found it wore a little too fast on the Wr250L for commuting. 2,000 miles, it was to the point where I didn't want to ride off-road with it anymore. It was still fine for on-road, but it wore flat. That's the Kenda K270 tire. It's an excellent tire, great all-around tire, I recommend it. And I also run the Shinko 700 for my commuting tire on my Wr250L on my second set of rims. And on this bike I run Trackmaster 2s, Kendas. And but for on the rear, so I could ride on the road, I bought a second rim for it and threw a Kenda K270 on it with a Trackmaster up front. Just because the front tire doesn't wear out that fast. So that Kenda K270 on the road, I mean, in 2 miles, it was brand new. I rode 2 miles, I got back, it looked like I rode 100 or 200 miles. It was ridiculous. I shouldn't have to ever shift the reverse on this bike. No, don't need to. What is this? Open. There's the notary. I bought this bike, it was in Ohio, and I came here to make it legal. They didn't give me any issues, so hopefully this goes smoothly. Wish me luck, guys. I'm going to be shutting the camera off here in a minute. At least I can see my bike, so I won't have to put the lock on the front rotor, a disc lock. Oh, turn that off. And I also put a keyed ignition on this to make it so you can't just kickstart it and go, or just, you know, even battery start it and go. If the keys aren't in the ignition, all they could do is push the bike away. And this is a half-gallon reserve here on top of my regular reserve, which I just hooked up the other day. It looks like it's running up against my engine now. I'm gonna have to get something in between there so that don't melt. When I come back out, I'll have to find something. I hope it don't melt. I really, really, really hope it don't melt. But that runs from this petcock. That's my second petcock, and it runs to a fuel tee that I installed, which goes to the carburetor. So there's my regular fuel, and when that runs out, I can put it on reserve. That'll get me that far down the road. And then when that runs out, I can shut that off or leave it on or whatever and turn this one on, and that'll get me another 40, 50 miles down the road. So without a fuel gauge, it really doesn't matter, because I got probably a 100-mile range after I run out of gas. And that's an aftermarket larger tank, like I said. Well, I need to peel this off with my helmet and figure out how to shut it off. Now, how do you pause this thing?